And welcome in, Gyms and Gymettes, to another exciting edition of No Substitute for Sports. I'm your host, Nick Johnson. This is episode 51. Pow, pow. And yes, said that the NFL regular season is over, but can't wait for the playoffs to begin. That is going to be life is just a series of trade-offs, ladies and gentlemen, ain't it? That's just how it is. Thank you, as always, for tuning into the No Substitute for Sports podcast on the Degenerates Network YouTube page. If you're just stumbling upon us, hit that subscribe button, but only after you hit the like button on this video. Maybe share us around. Tell your friends. Tell Coach Jim Harbaugh as he leaves all those potential Michigan sanctions in his rearview mirror. And there you go. Congratulations, Coach. You can follow us on Twitter at Degenerates or X, whatever you want to call it. And every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central, I go live on twitch.tv/SportsTownShy for No Substitute for Sports live, cleaning up anything we don't get to here. Finally, subscribing on YouTube and maybe like it on Facebook, X-Bomb Sports. Going live there at Fridays, 11:30 for Pro Wrestling Talk. Bad Karma Wrestling is the show. Me and co-host Double D, David Dykstra, rocking and rolling over there, talking results, any big shows, any big results. That's what we're doing over there. So much to talk about. So much to talk about. Yes. Mike saw it in person, but I watched it at my house as the Bears had just no fight against the Packers. Reactions to that game and the rest of Week 18 in the NFL. Next, no fantasy talk. No need to worry about that. As we get to the real playoffs to look forward to now, breaking down all those top stories in the wild card round, the super wild card round in the NFL. They've been throwing that in there. We also gave our thoughts on the college football playoff national championship game and where Jim Harbaugh might fall next season. Finally, a quick word on the Connor Bedard heading to IR for the Blackhawks. All that, tons more in between. But before we get underway, let me introduce to you my friend and co-host, the founder and CEO of FatCat_Streams. That's with a Z, Mikey J. Fatcat. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. It's been snowing over here now.
Yes, it has.
I love the snow, but it's been a good day so far. Good
Yeah,
day of work.
hopefully those people stayed off the roads. It was an icy slush just about all day. It was annoying. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful when you're driving with these conditions, so always look out for that. Be safe out there. All in all, good day though, and ready to get talking about these topics, man. Ready to talk about the Packers, of
Yeah,
course.
there.
Come
Yes, you
on.
are. Yes, you are rightfully deserved. So hopefully you are cozying up, watching this episode of No Substitute for Sports safely, might I add, like we just said, getting off the road. Maybe you just curl up with a hot cup of cocoa. You can put the two
Mm.
hands on it and sip on it nice and easy. Or yeah, hello brewski. How you doing? Uh but there you have it. We'll just no appetizers today. We're ripping the band-aid off. We're getting right into the NFL because it was week 18. It was the end of everything except for the end of the regular season. So end of a lot of seasons, including the Bears season. But you were up there with the Gator, enjoying your time up there up in Lambeau. You got to finally switch your game experience. You're 1-1 now, seeing Packer games, and I think this is good revenge on your end. So I have a ton of questions. Of course, just on your overall experience. We can obviously get to the game, but please take the floor. Yeah, that picture's looking good, courtesy of yourself right there. Little photography bug right there is Mikey. Take us just basically, minute by minute, hour by hour. You just taking the Gator on up to Lambeau. How's the experience and the game? So take us to it. Take us through it.
Wow. Yeah, this was just such a last minute thing. First of all, me and the Gator just decided on the Friday before that game. We were like, F it, we're gonna
Fuck
go
it.
up there. We're gonna go up to Lambeau. I was very optimistic because I mean Bears have been playing great football right now. I didn't think the Packers would just win this game easily, so I was like, yeah, I'll spend the money and drive up there to maybe see them win because I didn't know what would happen, but we took the risk. We both went. I loved the experience, of course. These were the seats right here. Great view. It was a great game for me. I mean, Jordan Love in a game where we need a win to make the playoffs. think he was 27 for 32, two touchdowns. Probably should have had three, almost 300 plus yards. He's had top two in quarterbacks all season in passing touchdowns. And the Packers are now the youngest NFL team ever to make the playoffs. I mean, I did not think this would happen. And to be at a game like this as a Packer fan was electric. It was awesome. It's definitely an experience I'll never forget. We got to see one of the Dontavian Wicks touchdowns right in our end zone. I tried to take a screenshot, but there's Jordan Love right there. There's the ball going right to Wicks. Touchdown, baby. Look at how packed it was in Lambeau. There were 78,000 people in there, they said.
Damn.
There couldn't find an empty seat in that place. I mean, and the seats were awesome. Being able to see a touchdown right there in front of us was so cool. The Bo Melton touchdown that got taken away, that was also right in front of us, but it was reversed. They said he bobbled it, but that would have been awesome if that was a good touchdown. For sure would have for sure, like, we would have won the game for sure. But it was still a one possession game. Bears were in it the entire time, I feel
Might as
like.
well have been up a million, but geez, yeah. But sorry, go
I
ahead.
Allen was saying they never had a chance the whole game, but I don't know. I feel like they were always in it. It was always a one possession game the whole time. It was never so far gone that they couldn't come back. I mean, it was a lot of defense from mainly the Packers, but 5 sacks from the Packers, I think it
Yeah.
was.
Yep.
So that was cool. Got to see a couple of them on our side. Um, it's just a awesome. I mean, again, we talked about this before the season. Packers were some of the worst odds to even win the division, even make it far. No one thought Jordan Love would be like this. He has arguably, like, he has the same people that Aaron Rodgers was throwing to last season, and he did better than Aaron Rodgers this year. And in a game similar to last year where we need a win to make the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers shit the bed against the Lions, and Jordan Love comes out to fucking play both in Lambeau Field, and he gets the job done against the Bears, who have been pretty hot recently, I feel like, and held them to only 3 field goals. Great game for the defense and the offense. No AJ Dillon, no Christian Watson, but they still get it done. Again, Bo Melton, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs. That's who Jordan Love's throwing to. He's cooking them up. I mean, he is just such a good
Did
quarterback. Got
Jaden
the
Reed
jersey.
play?
Yeah, as I
Okay.
forgot to mention him. Yeah, Jane Reed was in there. He had a
Speedy
big,
Reedy. I like him.
big play near the end of the game, like 50-yard play, I think it was, to just get us downfield immediately. It's just Jaden Reed might be the steal of the drafts this year. I mean, I feel like he's one of the best wide receivers other than like Puka. And I mean, like, honestly, like, he just did better than Jackson Smith and Jigbo. He did better than like all of these other receivers that were taken way ahead of him. So
Yeah.
like Quinn Johnston, and even I say Flowers had a good year, but I don't
Say
know. I feel like
Flowers and Jordan Addison had pretty solid seasons. Puka Nakua for sure, and then yeah, you could throw up there for without a doubt that Jaden Reed had a nice solid season, especially where he was taken what fifth round.
I think it was the second round.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
But
I think I'm thinking of Puka. Puka was in the fifth round for
but
sure.
still, I mean, very good outing from a
Yeah.
receiver that, wasn't really on everyone's radar. And again, Packers' youngest
I
team in the
think beyond
NFL.
that talent, I definitely tip my cap to Matt LaFleur. He's finally not maybe not butting heads with his quarterback and not having Aaron Rodgers there. Not that Jordan Love is just a sitting there like yes, Mr. LaFleur, we do everything you say. It's just not a constant like an understanding like that. It's more like Jordan Love is kind of just sitting there like a sponge. He's like, okay, that works, and if it doesn't, we'll kind of just trying to get in the lab and work back instead of the back and forth that could have been between LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers. I think Matt LaFleur has just done a phenomenal job with the young talent that he's had all season long. So
100%. I mean, it's tough to do what he's doing in that position with those players, but he's getting it done. Everyone respects him. I love seeing the post game locker room footage of, just them getting all hype and them making the playoffs. That was awesome. Rashawn Gary was throwing him around like a rag doll. Matt LaFleur, the locker.
Careful, bud.
That was funny, but uh, just I'm so happy. I mean, again, I can't even explain how happy I am, and there's no one to really say how happy I am too because I'm surrounded by Bears fans constantly. So I'm really just to myself like, let's go, like this is awesome. But yeah, going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, he had an amazing first year as a starter. I mean, he's for sure going to be our starter for the future. I'm so happy to have him, and I always had, I mean, I did not always have faith in him. I was definitely upset when they first drafted him, but when he's been starting and he's been playing, I've never lost faith in him. I've always
Yes,
stuck
I can
behind him.
vouch for you on that. As soon
And
as you did start watching, you were like, "Well, this is our guy. It's gonna be our guy until he's not." So I kind of have to. And, week by week, you're like, "Okay, all right." And then, sure enough, after a while, he's like, "This is our guy." Yeah, as you've been saying, and I hate the saying. It's just because I hate all trends that are ever like he is him. He's him for you guys. So that is pretty good. So that's good.
it's awesome. I mean, just we really just strike gold like this with another good quarterback that we can rely on and get us in the playoffs on a rebuild year. No one was expecting this to happen. We wanted to get a draft pick or something this year, and we fucking went out and made the playoffs. So started off even we've had rough games this year, and to even get in here, it's just unspeakable. I can't even put into words my emotions. It's unsurmountable feeling. I'm so happy for them. I'm a Packer fan till I fucking die, man. Come on. I love this team and to be in again, to be in Lambeau, to win, see that game. That was the first game I've seen now with them win. I'm actually 1-2 now with them
Oh,
because
really?
I saw them lose to the Bears in Soldier Field. That's when the Bears won the division. And I forget which exact year it was, but yeah, that game wasn't fun.
That was in
And
Soldier Field, right?
yeah.
Okay, so you're 1-1 in Lambeau.
Yeah, I saw them play the Titans, that they lost that. And that's another thing I wanted to say. After the Titans game, the crowd, like the feeling in Green Bay was kind of like lackluster. Wasn't like too much excitement. There's still stuff going on and stuff on people's lawns and shit, but
Yeah.
it's not too much excitement. But after this Bears game, oh my goodness,
Bam, 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 bam,
it was
bam, bam, bam.
crazy out
I can,
there.
yeah.
There was so much stuff going on. It was wild. Like parties everywhere on all the houses. Like there were stages set up with like DJs playing and shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's all they care about in Green Bay is football.
Oh
So
yeah.
a win like that, people were partying their asses off.
Now, for
And
safety reasons, who was driving home? Was it you?
it was me, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask. I was gonna actually recommend that, but I didn't want to sound like an ass wipe. I was gonna say, hey, the winner should, whoever wins this game should probably drive home because I don't want to get a, oh well, fuck it, and then you guys just drive off. You guys just both drive off the fucking side of the road because God forbid the Packer or whoever team lost or whatever. So I mean, glad you boys were safe. Glad the conditions were
Yeah.
well. Glad everything was fine. I just didn't want to sound like an ass wipe.
No, Gator was a good sport about
Yeah.
it. So, and all the fans were all
No,
respectful.
if there ever is someone that I guess be there to absorb a Bears loss, it probably would be the Gator. He takes it in stride.
There was an older guy after the game with the shook hands with Allen. It was like Bears played a good game, man. Like trying to be nice.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
no one was really mean or anything.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that was the case. It is always just an urban legend with that bullshit. There, you'll get people from time to time, but that's always the viral videos mostly at Cowboys games, but that's neither here nor there. And
At the
Raiders games.
end, yeah. At the end of the day, it's all fun and games, man.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
just they're just having fun. So it was a great game. Yeah, we'll never forget it. Go Pack Go. We might just walk into Dallas and beat the Cowboys. So
Ooh, I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit. We got our play. We'll be talking the wild card round just a little bit. No, I'm glad. I got the victory lap last week, and you were able to get it this week. Talking about your Packers, so that was pretty good. Just flipping sides, just going on the Bears side of things. That was
else,
actually. Oh no, yeah, go ahead,
there's
go
just
ahead.
one thing I had to say about Lambeau
Sure, yeah,
because it
sure.
was the food, the way that they handle the food there. And the stadium is so like it's so old, but it's so renovated that everything is modernized inside. And like the way that they handle the food there was so awesome. It was like anything you can think of that would normally be on a menu. It was like, cheeseburgers. They have the authentic cheese curds there that you can tell are fresh as fuck. And they're
Oh yeah.
they're like hot dogs and chicken tenders. And there's a mozzarella grilled cheese that they had and stuff. And they had all these different things. And they had the same place around the whole 100 section. And it was this big, like, express station basically where all those food items were all in hot trays like ready to go. They were always constantly being refilled by the kitchen, and there
Oh,
were
okay.
drinks. There were so many fridges with
So it's
drinks
basically
and
serving it like cafeteria style, where you just go
yeah.
up, grab everything, and did you guys just like check out? Is that how it
Yeah,
was?
there was like 20 self-checkout stations
Oh
where
man.
you can scan stuff. You scan the beers and you click the food items that you picked out that you put on a tray. And it's just was so like the line was so long, but I got everything in like 5 minutes because it was just so efficient. Like every
Oh wow.
place should do that. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
that's interesting. That's an interesting way to go on that. Yeah. That's pretty yeah, I can see some pros and cons from either side. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
pretty
because
interesting.
people could definitely just take shit and walk out,
Oh,
but
of
they
course.
had
Yeah.
security guards there checking receipts and stuff. So,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
but
if
yeah.
you're walking out with two full chicken sandwiches, you're like, yeah, I just got a banana, dude. I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
they're like,
Like,
now
this
you're
ain't Jewel Osco, bud. You're gonna get caught.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty interesting. On the flip side of things, on the Bears side of things, it just seems like a team that had nothing to lose just didn't come off the bus is what the usual saying is. Didn't really show up. Only 3 field goals against, well, as the memes and as everyone goes, and Troy would know, a Joe Barry led Green Bay defense should have been a little bit easier, as the Panthers had just scored 30 points on them a week ago, a week prior, 2 weeks ago. And the Bears have been humming somewhat. Didn't show up. Didn't show up. And if this was Justin Fields' last rodeo, if he did give it his all, that's a tough way to go out. And I can't, for the very life of me, I'm finally on that side of gotta let him go and go on to the next quarterback. And that's a tough saying. And he might go on and do well. I don't think he's going to be that superstar caliber quarterback that everyone thinks is going to be like, oh, as soon as he's off the Bears, he's going to be an X factor and he's going to be better than Patrick Mahomes and this, that, and the other. I don't think that's the case. I don't think he'll show just that same sign of everything. Honestly, on the drive home, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just on the really Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, whole season of doing this quarterbacking situation. He might just be Justin Fields. Justin Fields might just be Desmond Ritter with better legs. I I don't know.
Don't say that.
I I feel like that's the case. I'm sorry if that hurts some people's feelings, but 140 yards passing, and I get it. 5 sacks, you're running for your life against the Green Bay Packers, but you also didn't look good against the Cardinals. Also didn't look good against the Packers earlier in the season. Tons of other things to consider for sure. But if that's what was going to be the going out predicament, I, I'm not a fan of it. So I guess I'm okay either way. This will have all the time in the world to determine what the Bears quarterback situation is going to be. Bears are on the clock between now and fucking April. So that'll be what every radio station worries about every single day for just about every single hour about. So is more things about that. Of course, worry about the offensive coordinator situation because Getsy's on his way out, and that'll be what Fields' fourth offensive coordinator in his time here already, something like that. That's not something really to consider either. I I would love to stay in all sorts of direct in one lane on the Bears right now, but that just can't really be the case. If I was trying to switch back to the game, it just wasn't. Nothing was getting done. Nothing was getting done. Couldn't really find any sort of predicament, and no design runs for Fields. He, on top of not being able to pass, couldn't get him running and going, so that wasn't good either. So didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy this game at all. And that was more or less what I was saying, like what I was thinking. Just if nothing does get done, fuck it, 1-1. Take one of these quarterbacks. You're gonna have to, or trade down, and you could still probably actually get a decent one. I know Colin Cowherd's page just puts up stuff for the comments to go crazy, but honestly, if someone around the mid-teens bumps up and wants something, it's going to have to be one heck of a deal on top of that about the other picks and other people you throw in there. But you can probably snag a Michael Penix Jr. around that time. I don't know. It's up in the air, and everyone else and their mother's going to sit there and tell you they know who's getting drafted where, and they're going to be like, "Oh, my mock draft this." Shove your mock draft up your ass. You know nothing. You know nothing at all, because these guys, these ESPN analysts that live, breathe, sleep, and die for football, college ball, they'll sit there and they'll show you their mock drafts, and they're wrong more than 50% of the time as well. So no reason for me to see yours either. So that's, again, kind of getting all over the place. Disappointing. Disappointing was the word of the season. So to go out 7-10 in Lambeau with a bunch of hype, again, it was a team that had nothing to lose and came out flat as all fuck, as a soda being left out on a hot summer day. That's how it was for the Bears. It was a tough look. It was a tough day, and overall, you can hope that just a better year for next time. That's all I can say. So it's a big off season, humongous. I feel as though, again, we'll be talking every single week about what the Bears will be doing with this draft pick. And I personally think that this draft pick, this number 1 overall pick, is much more valuable than last year's number 1 overall pick. So
Yes.
if we are trading that, if the Bears are trading that, gonna have to get something more than DJ Moore somehow. And I think that's going to be crazy to think of. So I'll leave it with that. Bears disappointing, 17-9 on the outcome there. Can't get it done. Packers win, and you're in. You didn't piss your pants. I was very upset that you didn't show any.
I did not hear about that. So
So
you
I saw it
mentioned
on Reddit, and that's of course where the craziness all goes. If anyone else isn't understanding of what I just said, win and urine. It's a play on words. Urine, PURINE.
Oh my.
Some people were, for the Colts game, there were Colts fans pissing their pants and posting it online saying, "This is a win and you're in." So post
They
it all.
lost.
I know they were trying to get him in, and they couldn't get it in. I'm sure that was just I'm sure other fans probably did it from other teams, but that was the post I saw was from a Colts fan that he's pissing his pants to, "It's a win and you're in, baby."
Well, no, I did not.
This is insane.
I did not piss my pants, but luckily the Packers still won. So
Okay. So that was that. We'll be talking more, of course.
I will
Bears
say,
disappointment throughout the season.
the Bears is very similar to games in the past this season where it seemed like it was the same play calling in the first and second half. Multiple screen passes, multiple runs, multiple times running it on like third down, on first and second down. So they're going to throw it on third, and it's like very predictable play calling the whole game. Me and the Gator were talking about it the whole time. Like just either it's option play or you're throwing a screen. I don't think there was one single deep pass thrown by
Probably
Fields the
not.
entire game.
Probably not.
And it's just like you're not playing aggressive at all. And like it's like you said, they seemed like they didn't care. I don't know. The O-line did not help at
No.
all.
No.
And yeah, the only plays that they had that were successful were some like wide open screen passes or you have people running for a couple of yards on some dump offs.
I recall one deep Cole Kmet play, and he ended up getting popped, and luckily he didn't fumble. So that's
I
about
think
all
I do remember that.
That's
Yeah.
about all I can recall. Honestly, there was no exciting plays. There was no big offensive explosive plays from the Bears. Shocked? I'm not. Not with the Bears. Just couldn't get anything done. That's like I said, it's a really shit way to go out. So
It's crazy how much one game can change stuff too. Because I mean, if the Bears win this game, then I don't think everyone's talking about time to trade Fields, time to do this stuff. I think you go into the offseason more like, okay, that was a good end to the season there. We
Yeah,
knocked the Packers out.
If Fields had a 250-yard, even just 300 total yards between him passing and rushing, and had 2 to 3 touchdowns, possibly 1, 2 in the air and 1 on the ground, and the Bears get a win, that would be nice. And even it doesn't even have to result in a win. A win is nice, but if it's a shootout and the Bears look good, and Fields looks good, then we're not having the same conversation that we just had.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. But Fields again just did not show up, and I would love to just keep coming up with excuses for him, and like, oh, it's the coordinator, it's Eberflus, it's the offensive line. At the end of the fucking day, CJ Stroud got his team to the playoffs. Different whatever, different route, different division, sure. Fucking Jordan Love got his team there.
I mean,
It's as simple as that. I mean, he's had in one full season, he's had more passing yards than any Bears player ever. Bears have been around for 100+ years. That's been the tweet to compare that to. I mean, what other? I'm sure I'm missing another young quarterback. For Christ's sake, Gardner Minshew was able to carry the Colts almost to a playoff game. Joe Flacco's coming off the couch and he's leading the Browns. Again, a defense, a real team right there, but a much tougher opponents, a much tougher division. And this guy was on the couch a month ago, slinging it. Would have been on pace to blow all your current stats away. So again, it would be much easier if Fields was like, oh, we caught Fields last night at Bet Rivers and until 3:00 in the morning, and he had a little bit of stuff on the pot of his nose. No, this is a nice guy. He's a class act. Every single time that there's been an interview or a press conference, he's just eating every single punch that these guys want to throw at him. It would be so much easier if Justin Fields was an ounce of an asswipe, but he's not. He's a nice class act guy, and it's just that's why it makes it tough to be like, he's got to go, he's got to stay. That's the thing for it in my mind. I think that a lot of people can't go through that hoop simply because he's just so nice and so well represented. So
I feel like he's really tried his hardest
he
since he's been on
has.
the Bears, but
That's the thing too. It's just he has tried, and then after a while, if you've tried, they've tried everything. Kind of just have to shake hands and part ways. Thank you for your service. I have no more. I have no other. What else? Another wide receiver would be great. I mean, sure. Who else? Who else wouldn't love two top NFL caliber wide receivers on their team? Some teams still don't have one. What? How much more talent can you just throw at it before it's still not going to work? I'm not entirely sure. So
so
I'm
which
glad
quarterback would you want if they did pick one this year? Because
of the current class. Wow, I know it'd be if everyone's gonna say Caleb Williams. Maybe just because I haven't seen enough Caleb Williams, I can go with something else. It should be Caleb Williams. If it's not, I wouldn't mind Michael Penix Jr. I know he got torn apart in this game, but I wouldn't put the Washington loss on Michael Penix Jr. He's looked very decent throughout this entire season for Washington.
oh yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of good quarterback prospects
yeah,
this year.
Jalen or Drake May is also he was haven't seen him a lot lately either. I don't even think he got into a bowl game, but he's going to be the consensus number one, and then
And
possibly Jalen Milroe, but I might be overstating that on the Alabama quarterback. So a lot of people are thinking those.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, Caleb Williams is kind of there. Again, a dark horse. If you waited, I like Michael Penix Jr. If the national title game taught me anything, it's that he is very much NFL ready. He was frazzled and frustrated by this very good Michigan defensive line, but given the time, given a better offensive line, he could make some plays. He's got the arm talent to do so.
Yeah.
And
And
he's a
the
lefty,
performance, yeah, that's cool.
so that'll
There's
fuck
not
him.
many lefty quarterbacks,
Yeah,
so
that'll fuck him up.
the performance in that championship game, will not determine everything for his career. I mean, CJ Stroud, I
He
think
lost some money
lost.
for sure, but yeah, I wouldn't. That's not going to be the That was not going to be the legacy game there.
No. Yeah, I think CJ Stroud lost his national championship game in
I believe
Ohio
so.
State, but yeah, I mean, he's one of the best rookie quarterbacks this year. So, I mean,
Yeah.
anyone can transition, and the Bears have a lot of options. If they decide to do that, they could trade Fields. I saw Mel Kiper talking about it.
Fuck Mel
I know
Kiper.
you hate him, but like they could trade him to like the Falcons or something,
Yeah.
get their eighth overall pick. Bears could have, first and eighth overall
And
picks and
honestly, I'm
try
sitting
to
here. Arthur Smith fired again. We'll touch upon that. We're gonna get to the NFL games, the Week 18 stuff, the headlines and everything. I'm sitting here thinking there's a ton of teams. There's at least 7, 8 teams that are going to be wide open for a coaching vacancy. I think the Falcons are the top spot. I know everyone's saying Chargers for Justin Herbert. There's so much talent on that Falcons squad. The decent defense in a favorable division where it's kind of just up in the air as opposed to go to Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Oh, guess who you got to play twice? The Chiefs. You got to play Patrick Mahomes, who's probably just the best quarterback alive right now. But that's just me. That's just me thinking that. That's just me saying that. Uh, what was I even going on about? I don't even know. The Falcons. Yeah. Either
yeah.
way, that's a nice way. We're bouncing all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah,
The draft between that again, we'll be talking all about that coming up. Right now, switching gears, we'll transition. We'll pivot back to just the Week 18 games. As there's a fly in my fucking room, gross. Switching over to there really quick, just some light touching upon each game and all the storylines. So Steelers start off on Saturday. Week 18 start off on Saturday. Steelers Ravens. Steelers getting a dub that they needed to. They need a little bit of help, and sure enough, they later on got it. They are in the playoffs. Ravens practice squad basically just got in there, but it was a slop fest all game long. So again, a 17-10 win for the Steelers. Any thoughts on that one?
yeah, I mean, again, the Steelers needed to win that game to have a chance of making the playoffs, so good on them. Even the Ravens practice squad was in, but still, I mean, Steelers, I'm sure had some. Did they have all their starters playing?
The Steelers
Or-
did. The Ravens basically they had their bench guys in, and probably by halftime, I think they had their practice squad guys in. So it was,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there was no.
It's a pretty easy win for them, probably.
Uh, Melvin Gordon was the starting running back. I think that's where the Ravens were at on that game.
All right.
How about Mason Rudolph? Mason Rudolph getting a couple of dubs right there. Going into the playoffs, he will be the starter. Kenny Pickett, was that his last? Is this his last season as a Steeler?
Yeah, I mean, they're in a similar situation where now with they've had Pickett for a while, but they've never really
He didn't. He
done
just didn't
much
make
with
that
him.
next step. Didn't make that next
Yeah.
step this season. Tough
And you
look
got a
for all
guy
those
like,
people that bought all
yeah,
those Kenny Pickett cards. That's what I just keep seeing in my fucking group chat.
the price on those have dropped astronomically.
Oh yeah, the Don Russ downtown Kenny Pickett is not doing too hot right now. So sorry about that one, boys. So that was an important game again for the Steelers. They needed to hold their breath, and they became big Titans fans later on. But again, we'll wait on that one. Because that also ties into this game that ended off the Saturday night main event. Texans taking on the Colts in Indianapolis. This one was, regardless, whoever wins was going to get a playoff berth. They needed a little bit of help to determine if they were going to win the division. Sure enough, again, spoiler, they did win that. Texans win 23-19, 180-degree turn from the number 2 overall pick for the Texans. Getting back to back, they got Stroud and then Will Anderson, number 2 and number 3 overall. Going for a 180-degree turn from the number 2 overall pick to winning the division, almost unheard of. You could see the just emotion in CJ Stroud's face, holding back tears in that post-game press conference and the interview that he had. Absolute just awesome game. Man, Crazy game for Nico Collins, if I'm not mistaken. Was that
Yeah.
nine for 195 and a score? He got the immediate one after. He's going to be a treat to watch. They have a pretty solid core, and again, that'll be a fun matchup between them and the Browns coming up. But man, oh man, did not think that this team had a shred of an ounce of a chance at winning, being an above 500 team, being a positive team, and there they are winning the division. Thoughts on the game? Thoughts on the Texans?
Yeah, I mean this was basically the first playoff game of the season. They
Yeah,
put
no, you're
whoever
right.
won.
No, you're for
Yeah,
sure right.
whoever won was in. And yeah, so they had those extra implications with the division, but yeah, if you that was the whole thing they were saying all night. If you won, you were in. This It was a big game for both teams,
Win
and
and you're in,
those
baby.
it's the best. It's the best kind of
Take care of
games, man.
business. That's all they had to do. Yeah.
And in Indianapolis, at the Colts Stadium, the Texans came in. I personally wanted the Texans to win because
Yeah.
of CJ Stroud has just had such an awesome year. And it came down to, the final plays, the Colts bad pass by Minshew and a equally or bad try to catch by the receiver. I mean, because
Yeah.
I,
So to be fair, Goodson shouldn't have been in there. It should have been Jonathan Taylor.
yeah,
What in the fuck were you? Let's just take out a guy who has what 180 rushing yards at that time. He had 30 touches. Give him his 31st touch right there.
when
You
Joe Buck said that on the broadcast, like he was like, "No Taylor or Moss for the final play." I was like, "What, dude? Why are they not out there?"
you
Like,
put in your
I mean,
fourth string running back to go catch a pass, and it was a bad pass, sort of. It wasn't on fleek, but it hit him in the hands. To be fair, it hit him in the hands, and for any receiver, that should be a catchable ball if it hits you right in the fucking hands. So he was the sickest man in America. I saw his tweet, and no one should be dogging him. But again, you gotta make that play. But again, I'm not a Colts fan, so I'm not gonna be in his DMs, and no one else should be either. It should be
yeah.
anyone's DM should be harping. It should be the head coach. You should be mad at him for putting him in that predicament, putting him in that situation. Should have been Jonathan Taylor. Should have passed it to really anybody else. I mean, Joshua Downs or Alec Pierce or I don't know, Michael Pittman fucking Jr., who's just caught everything when you throw it to him. Again,
I
uh,
guess maybe I guess their ideas, you put in the third string thing that defenders are thinking they're not going to be looking for the running back on that play, or I don't know.
I guess
I don't know,
I
but
was somewhere on that idea where like, oh, he could be so much of a non-factor that they just don't play on him. And sure enough, they gave him enough space to get the first down, and he just fumbled it himself away on that one. So, I mean, the biggest play of the year for the Colts, and they just shat it all away. And they only get that safety at the last second just because the Texans were trying to get some time off the clock. And yeah, that's all she wrote there. That was a tough one. Again, the Texans kind of left the window open a little bit. They missed that extra point right at the end. So the Colts put together a drive. They could have scored a touchdown, and that with pending their extra point, could have took the lead. So that was a very exciting game to come home to when for at least for me when I was coming home.
oh
I couldn't
yeah.
believe it. Could not believe it. Like, you're not putting in Taylor. What the fuck you doing? I even tweeted it out. I'm like, the Colts deserve to lose that one because of that one decision right there. They deserved it.
Also,
Tough one for
also
sure.
just the Gardner Minshew graphic when they were going to commercial that one time that's been going around Twitter where he's like just staring at the camera like that was
Yeah, that's good.
that was
That is pretty
so
good.
that was so funny.
Yeah,
Joe Buck's
that's
just like, or you can look kind of crazy.
oh man, sports have been pretty good with the memes as of late. Between that, there's also like I saw the LeBron pointing at the TV. That one's gonna be going around because he was the replay of him shooting a three was on the
Oh
screen, and
yeah.
he was pointing at it. So now there's just like everyone's just like, "Thank you, LeBron. This is gonna go around for decades." Like, yeah, this is it. But to transition into the game, honestly, we'll go into Sunday's games, but a little bit of a jump on my schedule. Might as well talk Jags Titans because this is what summed up and allowed the Texans to get the AFC South. Jags simply choke this all away, and Mike Vrabel will never have to buy a drink in Buffalo or Pittsburgh ever again for this one because with the Titans beating the Jags, that got both of them into the playoffs. I think this might be one of the biggest collapses in
Yeah.
in team history, at least for the Jags for sure. Might potentially in NFL history. I know there's a couple more. Obviously, the late '90s Vikings had one that came down to the wire, and for sure. But to go, they were 8-5 at one point. The Jags were, and to go out 1-6 or 1-5 in those last six, and their only win was against the Panthers. Ugh, not a good look. I and on top of that, the Panthers won. The Panthers win or the win against the Panthers. CJ Beathard was the quarterback there. So Trevor Lawrence all was the loser quarterback in every single one of those. Honestly,
Jesus.
I might regret saying this in the sense that just it can be completely off, and everyone says it just one of those. If he was of a different race, I think he'd be getting more flack for not being as successful as he is, as successful as he was in college as he should be now in the NFL. Again, I'm not going to die on that hill and say like that's my take, that's my hardcore take. I'll never change my mind on that. I'm saying if he was of the complexion of Lamar Jackson, and I think if Trevor Lawrence doesn't have MVPs like Lamar Jackson. Neither of them really have playoff success, but Trevor Lawrence gets little to no, no one comes down on Trevor Lawrence because he doesn't get the job done as much as other quarterbacks in this league. So that's just something to think of. Again, it can be an awful take, and I'm sure that's fine, but that's just something on my side. Not even based on race either. Other people have coming up and just saying, like, you know what? If he was just not as good in college, he probably wouldn't be getting this pass that he is currently getting now in the NFL for not being as successful. I concede either way. What I'm trying to do is I'll land the plane with this one in long-winded way of me saying, Trevor Lawrence, you got to start getting it done. With the amount of talent that you have, you should be getting it done. Travis Etienne Jr. on the ground, you're passing it to Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram. Didn't have Christian Kirk, but he was somewhat trying to make his way back in there. Zay Jones also available. So many weapons. Could not get the job done. Completely overthrowing it on a ton of passes. So this was huge. And on the flip side, Derrick Henry had his day. Derrick Henry going out on a high note. That might have been I think that was for sure his last game in a Titans uniform. 150
Yeah.
yards and a score. A nice solid day for Derrick Henry. So that was good. Overall, like I said, just complete and utter collapse for the Jags. And they are not overall as a team. I won't even I'll stop keying in just on Trevor Lawrence. Just overall as a team, big collapse, big disappointment. So, did you get your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, again, I kind of missed a lot of these games just from being in Lambeau and the
Makes
drive
sense.
there and back, but they were keeping us updated via Red Zone on the Jumbotron in there. So, yeah, seeing the Jags lose was pretty funny to me. I mean, I can't believe that no one really is giving them as much shit as they should be getting. I feel like
Thank
they
you.
were so hyped earlier as throughout the season. I mean, and they were rightfully so. They were doing very well.
And not like
And
2 hours later does BR betting post that one guy's like, all right, got 50K on the Jags to win the AFC South. And he's just like, don't worry, it's already a lock, this, that, and the other. Like, and again, this was like 3 months ago. So they cut to the video and then they cut back to him just on the ground and the final score. He's just in shit. He bet 50K to only in profit. He would have only won 30,000. So he's betting 50K on like a minus 150 odds or something like that. I don't
oh
even
my
like,
God.
bro. It's almost like that. It's that he was like, calling it before it hits type deal. Man,
Don't
oh
do
man,
that.
yeah, exactly. You're asking for it. So sure enough, you got it. So
That is one thing quick about it's just with the Packers game is I did not tell Alan that I have never seen them win yet in person because I knew I was like I can't jinx myself or say that because they'll lose. So I right when the game ended, I was like that's the first win I've seen in person. I was like I couldn't say anything until it was over.
Couldn't wait till the final bell quick enough for that one. Oh yeah, there you go.
You cannot be like, oh, we got this, or
Oh
else
yeah,
you're
no.
gonna.
As soon as I was feeling that at the Bears game when I went, I was kind of sitting there like, oh, the Bears are up pretty decent. This is good. I'll be like, oh, I can't wait. It's in the back of my mind. Like I didn't say it out loud. I'm like in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to see my first Bears win on my first game. And then sure enough, the Cardinals. That's a touchdown by Greg Dortch. I'm like, fuck, I gotta stop thinking.
Get those thoughts out of my head.
Yeah, this is awful. I'm like, oh no, Bears are gonna do Bears things. No, they got the dub that day, but that was okay. Yeah, Jags, excuse me, fell apart. We can breeze through a couple more of these games. Bengals and Browns, there was no playoff implication there, so nothing much to talk about there. Bucks Panthers, a brutal game to watch, a brutal win, but an important one for Tampa Bay. But honestly, of note was Baker Mayfield limping just a majority of this
Oh,
game. They'll get one more extra day. They're playing on Monday night to maybe get a little healthy to get his legs underneath him, but that could play pretty important. So again, a 9-0 win. It was a win, and you're in for the Bucks, and they won their division with that. Uh, let's see, Vikings Lions. Again, this was the Vikings needed a ton. They needed to not only win this game, they needed the Packers, the Seahawks, and either the Tampa Bay Bucks or the Saints to lose their game. So they needed a ton of help. The Lions to be a number 2 seed needed to win this game, and then they needed the Giants and the Commanders to beat the Cowboys and the Eagles. So what did Dan Campbell do? Dan Campbell played all of his starters basically the entire game, and Sam Laporta is now out indefinitely. I am sick and tired of this idea that because oh man, Dan Campbell, his players will run through a wall for him, and his aggression is his aggression is what's getting his players hurt. His aggression is what got him completely out of Coach of the Year talks because of going for it I'm going for it too so many times. This aggressive style is, all the media is calling it that. They're boneheaded decisions. These are bad play calls. So I can only hope that somewhere, somehow, later on down the line, Dan Campbell's like, oh, we didn't need Amon-Ra St. Brown to the fourth quarter. We didn't need Jared Goff all the way through this game. I'm a dumbass for getting Sam Laporta hurt essentially in this game. Could have happened to anybody at any sort of time, but the fact that you went out there, decided that you needed your starters for the number 2 seed, because the Commanders and Giants are so reliable. Giants got it done, yeah, but there was the odds for all three to get it done, probably slim. And sure enough, didn't get it done. What happened? What's the end result? You're in the same exact spot where you were seeding wise, and now you don't have your star rookie tight end. When will your decisions when will you finally pull it back a little bit, Dan Campbell, and realize this ain't a fucking video game? This is real life. And again, you can have all your guys on your back and have this idea that, oh, run through a wall type bullshit. No, this was a boneheaded decision. Sam Laporta's injury is on you, my friend. So I don't know how much it affects this game go against the Rams. I personally think the Rams are a dark horse in this entire playoff. It could definitely fuck over the Lions. But yeah, that was just my thought the entire time. And sure enough, as soon as Sam Laporta went down, Twitter went off. Why the big trend? Why are the Lions starters playing? Why are Lions starters playing? Why are Lions starters playing? To maybe get the number 2 seed when you're already locked in basically the number 3. It was a silly decision in mind. I want to get your reaction to my thoughts on Dan Campbell, if that made sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was not aware of all of that, honestly. Yeah, playing the starters in that situation, maybe not the best idea. And I didn't even know Laporta was hurt, so that's gonna really harm them in these upcoming playoff games. I mean,
Hyperextended his knee. I don't think there's any structural damage, luckily, but will be out indefinitely. Will be out for this game coming up.
yeah, not good. I mean, Dan Campbell, I always thought he was a good coach, but he has been making some, at least this season specifically, some questionable decisions. So that's, yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. The playoffs are what matter in this situation. Even if you lose this game, it doesn't really change much. So, yeah, not necessary. I can agree with what you're saying. Honestly,
And
it's
on top of that, again, I know a guy like Khalif Raymond, or they have two different Raymonds on their team. One of them, they probably would have been playing if they didn't play their starters in this game. But again, he gets hurt. Why is he out there for as long as he has been? Should just be fucking Johnny, who what's his face, coming off the street this game just for one start against the who gives a fuck Vikings in week 18. Very, again, in my mind, I maybe an overreaction. Again, only in the long run, only one big guy went down. It should have been no guys went down for the Lions. If that's my mindset as a Lions fan.
yeah.
So yeah, and then just the idea of like, oh, it's aggressive, it's aggression. It's stupid. It's a dumb decision, and I can't. You don't get it twisted between aggressive moves and dumbass moves. So I just don't want that. I don't want the Lions to be blurred on that. Uh, let's see, Jets Patriots. It's 17-3 for the Jets. It might be Bill Belichick's last hoorah as a Jet, or as a Patriot, excuse me. Jets snap a 15-game losing streak to the Patriots on that. Breece Hall had a monster game. I think he gave him 37 touches on the ground. Crazy. And
I did see that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad conditions, so I can see why, but holy fuck, give the kid the ball, and he just ran with it. Uh, yeah, any thoughts on maybe just Bill, or is that the last we see of him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the last we'll see of him. Maybe he'll move on to a different team and maybe do some sort of coordinator role, but I don't know if that's his style, but
At
I
the
don't know.
very least, he is a draft guru when it comes to like these late picks, finding uh, these like Mac style colleges, and like, oh, a diamond in the rough. Let me get that cornerback from Chattanooga State, and he's going to be the defensive player of the year next year, probably. Like, oh, holy fuck. Yeah, that's basically what. So at the very least, he needs to be still making some draft moves, I think.
Yeah, he should still be involved in the football, like in the scheme of things in some sort of way. It
Yeah.
should not just leave the whole scene, but yeah,
From my
I
understanding, rumor has it former Patriot and just fired today, Mike Vrabel might be the Patriot head coach, or a lot of people are reaching out for him. That would be
wow.
the case. And I think that's a solid name. That's in my mind, everyone's gonna say Jim Harbaugh. I think Mike Vrabel might be the number one head coach that should be sought after this offseason.
Oh, so many teams are gonna be putting offers in for him, I
Oh
bet.
yeah.
When the
Oh yeah.
Titans fired him today, I was like, wow, they're
Yeah.
really like done with everything there.
General manager said they wanted a new perspective at the coaching outlook, and they threw up that he was 1-9 in his last 10 division games. That's a tough look. But Mike Vrabel is still very much a very good head coach. Maybe just needs some new scenery. To be fair, I don't think a lot of people are going to be very successful with Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback, and Malik Willis, and what was getting something going with Will Levis, to be fair, but I think Malik Willis was the other quarterback that they threw in there. And then what, a game or two of what's his name, Joshua Dobbs. So there's
Hmm.
that. uh Let me see. Falcons and Saints. This honestly, the most interesting thing from it was the Arthur Smith getting fired, but he goes out with a bang at midfield, uh, going, "What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? What the bullshit? You didn't fucking do that." And didn't do a shaking of the hands with the Saints head coach. kind of a sorry excuse from Jameis Winston or just a thrown together thing.
They
Maybe
did not need to do that.
they did
Also,
not. They did not.
they were in a formation that they were going to kneel it, and they ran it on the 1 yard line at the end of the game. Like that was one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen. And then Jameis Winston, they're acting like they did nothing wrong. Like that was so messed up.
Yeah, okay. I would have to play it back. In my mind, I thought they had lined up and they knew they were going for a play. If they kind of faked it like they were going for a knee and handed it off, that's a little shady. I don't appreciate that. But I'm always gonna be on the side of, hey, stop them. I will be on that side. So I'm not, again, it's not too much, but Jameis Winston's excuse or explanation was not the best worded, and again, I might have been caught up. It might have been like it could be real, or it could have been a post from like Butt Crack Sports. I saw a quote from Jameis Winston saying, "I either throw touchdowns or interceptions. There's no in between." So that's why we went for it. So again,
That has to
I
be a fake quote.
I think that might have been I might have got on that quote, but
But did you see him arguing with the reporter?
no,
Or
I
they
did
were just,
not.
oh, that was so. The reporter straight up was asking him, like, he was like, that was messed up what you did. And he was like, oh, so are you going against the decision that we made? Or he's like, it's just this whole thing. You're going to have to see the clip because they kept saying, like, politely, I respectfully disagree with what you did. And James Winston's like, okay, well, I politely say that you're wrong. And like they just kept going back and
So
forth. And
passive aggressive with the way that they were
yeah,
doing. Oh, that's
reporter's like, well, I
hilarious.
politely disagree that the team shouldn't have went for it if that was a team decision. He's like, I
Well,
think that was wrong. And
to be fair, as a reporter, you don't really, you shouldn't be putting your 2 cents in that case. You can ask the questions the way that you ask them, but you as a reporter should never be like, well, as it is my opinion. No, you ask. You can ask your question if you have it opinionated the way that you do, but you should never outright be like, oh, I felt like what you did was wrong. That's not what you should be doing as a reporter. So,
yeah.
yeah. Again, media bullshit is all crazy. That's a whole different can of worms. Let's see quickly, just breezing through a couple more of these games. Again, some of these mattered, some of these did not. Seahawks, we would have been talking about this game had the Packers lost, but they did not. Seahawks got their stuff done, but honestly, Cardinals down the stretch with Murray looked pretty decent. Not the best, not the worst, but looked very well put together with Murray. So it is the report that they're going to be going on with Murray. So just one of those teams that are sitting at four. I believe they're fourth overall on the draft, four or five. That's gonna be dangerous. Don't want to be sitting behind them because they're gonna be taking a wide receiver. They're probably gonna be taking that neighbor's kid or something like that. So
Mhm.
you're gonna have, as Bears fans, you're gonna have to be watching for what the Cardinals do. Hopefully they don't want to snipe up and maybe say fuck it, we're gonna go for Marvin Harrison Jr. type bullshit. We don't want that. But that was the case there. Chiefs Chargers, I didn't really see anything from this game at all. I heard there was one touchdown and it was a defensive touchdown. Chiefs got it done 13-12. When red zone was panning to it, I saw more of Patrick Mahomes on the sideline than I did of anybody on the field playing. So again, that's kind of just where the interest
Shows
of the
what they care about. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. In a game that it meant absolutely nothing. The Chiefs weren't going to move in their seeding, and the Chargers were already eliminated. So that's kind of done there. Raiders, Broncos. Raiders get this one done 27-14. Raiders head coach job might be, again, I keep throwing the word dark horse when it comes to the playoff, but this might be a dark horse position as long as they don't want to keep their interim head coach. And honestly, they probably should roll with him still, but not a bad team. Not a bad team. Again, it's a tough division being with the Chiefs, but you got Max Crosby on the defensive side. You got a couple of key weapons, and arguably, if you just have a better connection between whoever the quarterback is and Devontae fucking Adams, who's still arguably a top 3 wide receiver in this league, no matter who's throwing to him, you have a pretty solid core right there. You made Jacoby Myers look like a star this year. That's
Yeah.
that's impressive. And you had multiple QBs doing it. So Raiders can figure it out, I'm sure, later on down the line. Giants, Eagles. I mean,
Hmm.
Eagles just didn't even fucking show up. I mean, in the slightest. I know they were probably doing a little bit of scoreboard watching when the Cowboys went ahead and got out against the Commanders pretty aggressively. They were like, ah, fuck it. Here comes Marcus Mariota. But that was a pretty good one of Jalen Hurts with his dislocated finger looking like SpongeBob SquarePants with the broken fingers.
Yeah.
That that one was wild. That one was tough to look at. And on top of that, AJ Brown also going down. Scary to see that again. Fortunate that there was no big, no ACL tear, no PCL, and no injury like that. But again, in a game that didn't mean nothing. No, they needed to win it to maybe solidify getting the division again, just in case of the Cowboys slipped up. But tough to see your top guys go down when they're already as a team, as a squad. The Eagles were just not looking very good. So on top of that, Giants, that could have been Saquon's last game as a Giant. Maybe they franchise tag him again. We'll see how that goes. Did you have any thoughts on just that game? I know I breached through other couple games right there, but any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles needed to win that to win the division, I'm pretty sure, and they came out and completely choked it up, which led the door open for the
Yeah.
Cowboys. So
So
if
if they would have won, they would have needed the Cowboys to lose because the Cowboys had the tiebreaker.
oh, so they
Uh,
still would have needed them to lose.
yeah. The Cowboys ended
Okay.
up winning, obviously, so that just solidified that they were the division winners. They would be the number 2 seed, and that the Eagles would be the first wild card slot facing the Bucks this upcoming week. Uh, let's see. Yeah, there was the Cowboys Commanders. Obviously, Prescott to Lamb. That is the dangerous Cowboy combination right there. We'll get to that in just a
Oh
second, really,
yeah.
with the playoffs. Rams Niners 21-20. The only thing of note really was it was Carson Wentz versus Sam Darnold in 2024. Again, this is not an episode from 2029, or excuse me, this is an episode from 2019. This is an episode in January 9th of 2024 as we're recording this. And I'm saying again that Sam Darnold played a game against Carson Wentz. That's what we saw this past Sunday. Just wanted to let that settle in.
Carson
Finally,
Wentz won.
yeah, yes, he did. he showed up. Uh, and then on top of that, Puka Nacua, congratulations to him on all of his rookie records that they
Yeah.
broke in there. He got the receiving, the yardage, and then he got the receptions, passing Jalen Waddle. Excuse me. And then the Sunday night, the nightcap was the big one for the AFC East. The Bills and the Dolphins. Bills capture this one 21-14. I saw this stat and I thought that was an interesting one. I please excuse me. I wish I saw the Twitter account that I snagged it from. But again, if you just simply look up what I'm saying right now, you'll see it. A 29% chance to make the playoffs after the Bills had lost to the Bucks in week 10. 29% chance to make the playoffs. And then somehow, some way, the Bills finish as the number 2 seed and the AFC East divisional champions. Football
Wow.
is crazy.
Yeah,
It also
that's
goes to show
wild.
you how the Dolphins just let you fucking waltz right in. There's no lead is safe if the Dolphins are there. So sorry there, Miami fans. Still in there, still in the dance, but not going to be going through Miami, I suppose. Already would have been going through Baltimore, but tougher stretch there. Going to have to go on the road, and they're going to be in the cold coming up. But that was a wild game where it seemed like Josh Allen in the beginning wanted to just give up the ball, keep handing on over to the Dolphins, and they're like, nah, you can have it. Bills special teams helps out, scores a 96-yard punt return, if I'm not mistaken, or a kickoff return. So that helped again for sure. Not being able to connect with Stephon Diggs a little bit, that's going to have to be the connection there to find. And then if James Cook can catch a ball, that'd be nice too, I suppose. There was just one dot right in his hands and just plops right out. So there
Hmm.
was that. Did you have any thoughts on these Dolphins and the Bills?
Yeah, I mean, again, Bills needed this was a game they needed to win to get in after this rough patch that they've had. They come out, they win this fucking game. Miami, it's they've had some tough games this year as well, and I'm interested to see how they perform in the playoffs because then we'll get into it. But
Yeah,
them
no,
versus
that's
Chiefs.
exactly that. It's a smooth transition into the playoffs that we'll be having right now. So that's exactly
Huh.
that. conclusion of week 18. Well, again, while it is unfortunate, the playoffs are oh so sweet and make it better. So while we are just on that, it is going to be one of the Saturday games. It'll be the nightcap on the Saturday game. Let's talk Dolphins Chiefs. It is the Tyreek Hill revenge game again. These teams already played each other earlier, played in Germany, and was a similar outcome of what just happened in that last game with the Dolphins, a 21-14 outcome in favor of the Chiefs. I believe all of the scoring for the Chiefs were done in the first half. So on top of that, NFL, such a smart move making the Swifties pay for this Peacock subscription for this game is going to be an interesting one. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. The total's 43.5. And watch out because it is going to be cold in Kansas City. I think they're looking at right around 20 degrees, maybe a little bit less with the wind chill and all that fun jazz. So the Dolphins, used to that Miami heat, they're going to be dealing with this Kansas City chill right there. So how are we feeling? Besides an anytime Tyreek Hill touchdown at plus 115, you looking at any props? You feeling anything on this game? What are you feeling on the Dolphins and Chiefs?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, so that Tyreek Hill is tempting because he's gonna want to score in Kansas City.
I
I
do
mean,
not believe he did not score the last time that they played each other. I'll have to double check. I'll do that while you're giving your explanation.
just looking at, I mean, just in this game alone and looking at all the games in general, they're all going to be awesome.
Oh
This
yeah,
game is going to be a very good game. I feel like the Dolphins have had their ups and downs, as I was just saying, all season, but you cannot deny the explosive star power that they have with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Achane and Mostert. And I mean, they can have that explosive offense where they can score points and they can figure it out. They might just be able to beat the Chiefs here. I don't know. I'm on the fence with both of these teams because the Chiefs have been similar to the Dolphins in the sense where I feel like they've had some games too this year where they've kind of shit the bed and
can I give you a stat that's what making me lean towards the Chiefs?
yeah.
The Dolphins are negative 92 in point differential against teams above 500, while the Chiefs have been shaky and Patrick Mahomes has not been Patrick Mahomes. He's still Patrick Mahomes. And what isn't a Patrick Mahomes type season is still better than a lot of other Joe's and Jim's fucking regular seasons. So I will lean towards Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. On top of that, if he's not having the best game, Patrick, if he's not finding the connection to his wide receivers, because God forbid Mardell MBS catches a ball, Kadarius Toney might not know what fucking day it is, and Travis Kelce, whatever. That's a whole can of beans. Isaiah Pacheco on the ground, healthy, fucking beyond dominant. When he runs, it look like I said this earlier. It looks like the ground owes him money. He just fucking plows right through it. And then the defense has been the best that the Chiefs have had while Patrick Mahomes has been around. So I think that's been pretty solid. So while they gave up Tyreek Hill and not having that core, that big wide receiver that you can for sure benefit, all that money, all that funds went to a defense that's been carrying them through games and helping them a ton throughout this season. So while again you've named a ton of those four guys on the Miami Dolphins, between Waddle, Hill, Achane, and Raheem Mostert, those might be the four fastest individuals on the planet, let alone they're all on the same team. So while I do like that, I just don't like the Dolphins' game plan. Not enough khaki pants or khaki sweatpants for McDaniel are going to get him through this game. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs on this one.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. What's their spread at?
It is 3.5 in favor of the Chiefs.
I hate the 3.5s.
I know. I'll probably end up buying a point, make it 2.5 just in case, but I might still even roll with the 3.5. And to be honest, I did give you that whole spiel right there, but I wouldn't be surprised if it still goes the Dolphins' way, just because, like we just mentioned, like I threw in that caveat, it hasn't been the best season for the Chiefs. That's why they're sitting at the 3 spot, not the number 1 seed this year, or hell, even at the number 2 spot.
Yeah.
So, and also going back, the Tyreek Hill did not score a touchdown in that Frankfurt game, in that Germany game. So plus 115, I like that. I
I
mean,
like that.
me likey. If we're good on that, we can go to the other Saturday game. That is the Browns and the Texans battle of the Deshaun Watson former squad and the current team that he is on. He will not be found at all in this game, but of course, it should really be focused on the 2 quarterbacks that are actually in this game. Joe Flacco coming off his couch, like we mentioned, as a joke, but hell, this is a crazy narrative and a crazy story to watch. And this Texans squad just last year picking number 2 and number 3 overall, and now AFC South divisional champions. This is going to be one hell of a ball game. I can't really put my finger on it. If I have to pick one, I will lean the Browns only because of their defense. Browns are currently 2.5-point favorites on the road. 44.5 is the total. Do you have any inklings on this game? You have anything on this one, Mikey?
DJ Stroud, it's going to be tough against this defense. This will be one of his biggest challenges yet for sure all season. But they have the benefit of it being in Houston. Uh, but I don't know if they're going to be up to par with Cleveland. I don't know. It will. I love the Texans and what they've done this year, but the defense that they have is stellar, and Joe Flacco has been playing great football. So, I mean, it will be close for sure, I think, but I don't think they'll get destroyed.
No, I don't think
But
so either. But I was talking about this with my friend and fellow instructor just earlier today. If the Texans had Tank Dell, I'd probably say it could be Texans a little bit easier, but man, it's just gonna be fun. Honestly, seeing how CJ Stroud tries to counter and protect himself against Myles Garrett, that's gonna be a very interesting thing throughout this entire game.
I really want to see Browns versus Ravens too at some point if that can happen.
Yeah,
So,
again, while the Texans have had a nice story, it would be really, really awesome to see Browns versus Ravens. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm also at too. So if we're good on the Saturday games, quickly on into the Sunday game, Steelers and Bills. This is currently a 10-point spread. It might go up a little bit more with
oh
TJ
my,
Watt currently listed as out. But this is kind of more or less, in my mind, the battle of frauds. I haven't really thrown Steelers underneath
yeah,
the
I'll take
fraudulent label.
Steelers plus 10
That's
right
what I got.
away.
I got Steelers plus 10 already. Locked it up earlier today. But I think that the point total might go up a little bit more, so I can maybe double down. But it's an any given Sunday type deal. It's that kind of thing. Are the Bills going to play with their food? I think knowing their pass report card, that shows me that might be the case in that sense. So even though they're not going to have that, it's been a change. It's been a nice change of pace on the offensive side for the Steelers. And Najee Harris and Jalen Warren have had a dynamite little back to back on the running back side of things. So that's been interesting to see. On the flip side, it could be just as good there too. I mean, if Josh Allen can not turn the ball over, James Cook can have a nice day. And the same thing, make it the connection to not only Stephon Diggs, but the young rookie in Dalton Kincaid. So I don't know if they cover the 10, even if they are going balls to the wall. I think the Steelers can put up a little bit of a fight with lacking on TJ Watt. Might have to watch out for Minka Fitzpatrick as well. I like the 10, so that's why I took it earlier. So that's what I got right there.
Yeah, I do not think the Bills will win this game with these with how they've been playing. So
Yeah.
that's a very high spread for a playoff game.
Yeah, and the total is 35.5. So they're what 25 to 10 is basically, or what would it be, to 15, 25, 15. I'm trying to do some math. That would go over the over too.
Well, they have the total at 36.
They have the total basically 35.5, 36, and they have the Bills favored by 10. So I'm trying to think, the Steelers team total is probably sitting at like 13, 14.5, maybe something like that. I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy to think right there. But on to the afternoon Saturday, the Sunday game, Packers Cowboys. Mike McCarthy playing his old team. What can go wrong? What can go wrong? Cowboys are in favor by 7.5. Total is 50.5. The Cowboys are 8-0 in Jerry's world this year. If it was in Lambeau, I might be leaning. Honestly, probably could be leaning the Packers side of things, but a lot of things are going the Packers side, or a lot of things are actually going the Cowboys side. Just that connection between Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb is so fucking killer right now. I will not, it won't be without me having to say, like, Green Bay is going to have their opportunity. There will be everything like that. It's everything I just said earlier about, a talented young defense or a talented young offense, that doesn't go away. Matt LaFleur will do everything in his power to get the guys in the right spot, and Jordan Love will most likely be able to make a dot pass. It's just, will the Cowboys defense be able to disrupt that in any sort of way? And that's going to be tough to tell. So Cowboys, I think they win. Again, it's a big spread, 7.5. Might be some fight in those Packers, but I'm going to lean the Cowboys. Obviously, you don't even wait and waste your time. We know you're going to go with the Packers, but just overall thoughts on the game itself.
Um, yeah, going up against Mike McCarthy in Dallas, it's going to be a tough one. They haven't lost a game at home all year. The Packers are 12-3 against the Cowboys in the past 15 games I think they played against each other. We own Dallas. This is going to be a tough game for sure, but I was on the fence this at the start of the season. We wouldn't even make the playoffs, but now it's completely flip-flopped to where I'm like, well, we can
Oh no,
walk.
you got to be all in. You got to
Yeah.
be all in. You can't have a shadow of a doubt. You need to go from going from we might not do this to fuck it, Super Bowl. Like that should be your mentality, and rightfully so.
Oh yeah. I mean, again, I'm happy that we even made it this far with what we've had, but yeah, if we can walk into Dallas and beat the Cowboys and they haven't lost all year at home, I mean, that would, with the youngest team in the NFL to ever make the playoffs, what if we beat the Cowboys, all bets are off. Then it's like, okay, we really might have a chance to do this. But then we're gonna have to play the 49ers next if we beat
And that,
Dallas.
of
So
course, is that's the benchmark. That's where everyone wants to be at.
yeah.
I'm just trying to think, is besides what, maybe Aaron Jones has who else on that squad was coached by Mike McCarthy? I mean, is
I think
when did his tenure end in Green Bay? It's been a minute.
it has.
So I don't know if there's any sort of like revenge. I don't know if there's going to be
I
any
know
extra motivation from any one of these guys. Obviously not from the wide receiver core. They're all
Penny
fucking
Clark is the only, I think he's been on the team for a long time,
okay.
one of our defensive tackles. So
Okay.
I think he might have been on the team when McCarthy was still coaching, but I think he might be the only one that I can think of, honestly.
Maybe. Yeah, like I said, I mean, maybe Aaron Jones just because he's been on the squad for like 7, 8 years now, right? Something like that. Just
Hmm.
yeah, just trying to think of that, but I don't know. In that case. But here's a big one again. What we for sure know is a revenge game on both sides. Stafford,
Hmm.
Goff, Rams, Lions, both playing their former squads. The Lions are in favor by 3.5, and the total is the highest on the week at 51.5. This might be where I lean towards the upset. I like the Rams. It's for sure, again, in any sort of you can label any one of these games. Oh, it can go either way. But this is definitely up in the air. Can go either way. Will the Lions secondary be able to keep up with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua? I can't say for certain that they will. If CeeDee Lamb torched them up the way that they did, and I know he's kind of, he's in a different category, but that's kind of what's coming up right there for them. It's those caliber type players. Will that secondary be able to keep up? And Stafford's been able to connect very just on par. On just every single one is a dime to these wide receivers. So it's going to be a very tough task. This might be the shootout, and I think it's a very good reason as to why this is the highest total on the week. In my mind, this should be the fucking drop everything, drop whatever you're doing. This is the game to watch in my mind.
Yeah, this game will be awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Thank you,
Staff
football gods, for making this one happen, by the way. This one was great.
Stafford, we already mentioned it, but Stafford going up against his old team in the Lions, and Jared Goff going up against the team that got rid of him and decided to go with Miss Stafford. But
Yeah.
it's going to be so fun to watch. Both have such high stakes. I mean, it's going to be so much fun in Detroit. Stafford going back to his old stadium with the team that he has, and the Lions making it this far. The story that they've had, never winning the division since like 1940, like whatever the hell, whatever crazy it was, 1940, whatever it was. But they're gonna fight for sure, and the Rams have the potential to put up points with the squad that they have, and I can see why it's the highest points with both offenses. So
Yeah.
I'm leaning on Rams. Our buddy Bill was saying it on his story. Like, yeah, the Rams can definitely be one of those teams that just upset. I mean, I can 100% see it. The Rams have been playing good all year.
And their starters sat last week, and the Lions played everybody. I mean,
Hmm.
again, that could be a factor there. It could also just be an idea of like, oh, everyone's getting out of the rhythm. It's all up in the air. I think this is
That's
gonna
all
be
hearsay. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah,
That's
exactly. I think this is a phenomenal matchup right there. Finally on this just set of games, Monday night. Again, that'll be a phenomenal way to end the Sunday night games.
yeah.
Monday night is Eagles Bucks. Setting up to be interesting for sure. Who's going to be the least banged up, like I mentioned, between Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts? Just and AJ Brown on top of that, but that should be very interesting.
It's
Eagles,
crazy. It's crazy that the Eagles are going into Tampa Bay to play this game. I mean, if you would have told me that, that's insane. How does the Buccaneers have a higher seed than the Eagles?
yeah,
That's
because
wild.
they won their division. Because though they yeah, those divisions are important for sure. Eagles are favored by 3, totals 44.5. And I am leaning towards the Bucks. Call me fucking crazy. And it may be just because I was not convinced, but I heard a pretty decent reasoning as to why it could happen. Bucks have a solid defense. And if Baker Mayfield, healthy, ready to go, is able to sling it and connect with Mike Evans and Chase, and I almost did it again, and Chris Godwin, who all year long, or the Eagles defense against quarterbacks and wide receivers was bottom of the barrel against in fantasy. So that could be a connection that is made all day long. You know, it's a nice compliment to have Rashard White, who's a receiving back, and it can help you right there as well. But being at home could be a factor. All banged up are these Eagles, just getting flopped around and just a tough stretch. They already had that playoff stretch in the middle of their regular season and got banged up, losing a ton of games, literally and figuratively. Now you're coming into Buccaneers territory, trying to get a win. And I just don't. These aren't the Bucks of last, or these aren't the Eagles of last season. This is not the Eagles defense that was feared last season. So you added the tush push, but you got rid of really anything that's cause for concern on the opposing side's offensive things. So Bucks plus 3, fuck it, that's good enough for me. What are you thinking on this game?
Yeah, this was another game I was thinking the underdog might have a chance of winning. And again, they're the underdog, but they're the higher seed. They're in Tampa. And Eagles have not been playing good football as of late. They've lost to some bad teams in this past couple weeks, and Tampa Bay is more than viable to beat them. I
Very
think that
capable.
they have both offense and defense, and Mayfield has played way better than people expected, and they could definitely walk into their home stadium and and beat the Eagles and move on to the next round, which is it's crazy because Tampa Bay was the lowest odds to win their division, I think,
I
and
think so. Yeah.
they're now cooking it up at fourth seed in the playoffs. So good on them, and this will be a good way to cap off the wild card games for sure.
You know, no, it could have been it probably was the Panthers, but the Bucks were definitely second to last to win that division. It was up in the air. The Saints were minus 120 or plus 100, and the Falcons were right after. And then I think it was the Bucks right after them. So
Okay.
I mean, what I think from what we remember, like what plus 600, plus 700 to win the
Yeah,
division.
something like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. If you got that ticket at the beginning of the year. So yeah, quickly to go through it. I think we're almost on the same side of just about every one of these games. Rolling with you want. I think we're good with just about either one in the Browns and Houston, but we're going Browns because we want to see
Yeah.
Browns versus Ravens. I'm leaning Kansas City. Are you leaning Kansas City
I'll
as
pick
well?
Dolphins just for
Okay,
the fun of it.
okay, that's fine. And then I'll go Pittsburgh. I'll go Pittsburgh.
Wow. Oh, I'll pick Buffalo.
Okay. Uh, and then rolling with the Bucks. I'm gonna roll with the Bucks over the Eagles.
Bucks, yeah.
Both on the same side, kind of with the Rams again. Could go either. I'm fine either way in that game, but I just think personally, I think the Rams might be my dark horse this entire playoff postseason. And then obviously you're going with the Packers, and I'll roll with the Cowboys. So I'll just have to be that'll split that right down the middle like there. So that'll be
Come on.
fun. We'll be recapping those games and obviously going into the the next round after that, the divisional round. So that ought to be fantastic. Fantastic. So while that was just the beginning now of the NFL playoffs, on to the conclusion of the college football playoff. If you're ready to roll onto that one, we can breeze through that. And then we got one final little thing, but just again, well, for the sake of time, we can just hop, skip, and jump through some stuff. How's that sound?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Quickly again, if you didn't watch Monday, if you were living under a rock, or if you're just a diehard Bulls fan, you can't miss a minute of that action. The college football playoff national championship happened. The number one Michigan Wolverines took down the number 2 Washington Huskies 34-13. It was close until it wasn't. It was a 17-10 at half. Again, God, this fly is pissing me off all episode long. It's like that Breaking Bad episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lock myself in this room and start air and get the air vent going. Sorry. Wolverines took this one big, 17-3 in the second half. Like I said, after maybe shoulda, coulda punted, and then Washington turns around off of that, scores a touchdown. They got the ball at the beginning of the second half, and on the very first play of offense, interception, bad. Still was close. It was 20-10, and then it was 20-13 for what felt like ever. And then again, it was close until it wasn't. And then all of a sudden, Michigan's defense exploded. Run game. Honestly, the Michigan didn't really need to pass the ball at all. JJ McCarthy finishes with 140 through the air and had that humongous, that really crucial third down run for him late in the game. And that was ultimately one of the big daggers. And they later on went down the field, scored a touchdown, I believe, on that drive. But all sorts of things. Michigan just won in the trenches. It was a tough look right there. Like I said, beating the Washington O-line up front. That right tackle, number 73, had a rough day, and he's going to have just an awful time watching film on that one. Getting beat off the line straight up, looking slow, getting pushed, just basically manhandled. And there was one instance a couple times actually where he was straight up blocked, spun around, and he spun himself around, almost like getting turned around on a fucking crossover move in basketball. He had a rough day, number 73 on the right tackle, and that's the blindside spot for Michael Penix Jr. because he's a lefty. So that's one of the most important spots on the line for him, and he was having a tough day. Michigan only sacked Michael Penix Jr. once, but again, the frustration was clear. Michael Penix Jr. was missed his wide open wide receivers multiple times throughout this game. And there was that, like I said, on the winning side, winning in the trenches, on the offensive side for Michigan, 303 rushing yards for the Michigan Wolverines. Didn't need to pass the ball at all. Like I mentioned, it was just all fun and games for JJ McCarthy. I think only 11 completed passes on 11 for 16 for him. It was two big 40-yard rushes from Edwards, and then Blake Corum had 134 on the ground, and he had 2 scores as well. So it was just really just all dominant all the way through for Michigan. It's kind of, and that's similar to what we said earlier. I wouldn't put this on anyone in particular. It was just the Michigan just really was outclassing and outmatched Washington on all sorts of levels. So while Michael Penix Jr. probably lost some money, probably lost a little bit of draft capital, I think he's still very much NFL worthy and just needs to get that line would need to improve, get him on a team that is exactly like that, and he can be successful on the NFL level. I think that if anything, that's what showed it to me. He's very confident, can make, if when given the time and opportunity, can make plays. He made a couple big plays right there for sure. Again, penalties on the right tackle, kind of got rid of a few of the big ones, but then again, that's neither here nor there. He got banged up for sure. And overall, it was an interesting game. Somewhat could have been very much more impactful, but in my mind, just kind of sets up like how that 12-team playoff is just going to be very much more exciting, and it just opens up the door for a much more competitive outcome, I guess. So while this was interesting to watch, I can only think a team like Georgia and Alabama and hell, probably even Ohio State are kind of kicking themselves because, if they were just got the job done when they had the opportunity to play Michigan. The Georgia didn't have one this year, but hey, given an opportunity, like hell, probably could have beat this squad. I don't think that this Michigan team is the best college football team ever to win a national championship. And I don't think not many people are saying that. So with that being on the table, that opens up the door that, hey, maybe there could have been a better team this year, but don't want to do that. I'm not going to try and take this away from these kids. National title to Michigan Wolverines. Congratulations. A lot of hard work. And honestly, a shout out to all the names that I mentioned before. That number 55 on the defense. I don't have his name off the top of my head. He's a true sophomore. He was a force to be reckoned with all in that game and the Rose Bowl. That's why he was named Rose Bowl Defensive Player of that game. And exactly that. So we can play the what if game all fucking season long. Might be some, I don't know, maybe this thing doesn't even stick because it can be some loss, some games taken away because of the controversies all year long, and maybe even the national title is stripped away. But Jim Harbaugh says, fucking washing my hands. I'm on to the NFL next season. Who gives a fuck? Michigan champions. Interesting game. Congratulations on the perfect 15-0 season. Any thoughts, questions, concerns from you on this game?
Uh, I'm props to Michigan. They deserve to win this year, I think. They probably had one of the better teams out of most. Like you said, I don't know if it's one of the most notable teams that will ever have won. I mean, like there's like that LSU Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson is disgusting. Like that, those teams, will
And
always be.
then pick and again, like with that, or just pick any Alabama team ever, basically. Like, you
Yeah.
pick one. You'll find a pretty fucking disgusting squad on there. So yeah,
So like I don't
sorry.
know. No, you're fine. I just don't know if players from this Michigan team will like transition to the NFL and be these big time players from these previous college teams. But I mean, props
Couple
they
of names
deserve it.
maybe. Yeah, but yeah, it's not gonna be the big
I mean,
like
JJ McCarthy, like he will not be a good quarterback, I don't think. And like it's like their receivers, like I don't know if like they're like Blake Corum, I don't know if he'll be like a stud running back in the NFL. Like I don't know. It's just again, it's just my that's just my opinion, but props to again, you can't take away from what they did. Props to them. They deserve it for sure. Make it this far undefeated. Jim Harbaugh finally can win his championship and now can move
finally sit at
on.
the big kids table, like he said in the post game.
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
and he can, I mean, go back to the NFL and see what he can cook up over there. I think
Yeah,
his
I
time.
love that speculation. You don't hire agent Don Yee, who guess who we used to represent. Oh, a guy named Tom Brady. I don't know if you ever heard of him. I think Harbaugh is on to the NFL. And it was a lot of people were thinking that regardless of him, if he was going to win this or not, he probably would have been there no matter what. So I think that's the case. Where he goes, maybe we can say that for another episode. I have a list of teams actually, but I think the Bears are kind of off the table. Him and Kevin Warren don't see eye to eye. But Chargers are probably the front runner. Patriots are thrown out there, losing Belichick along the line. I threw out the Raiders, the Commanders, Titans. Now that Vrabel's gone, Panthers because David Tepper can't keep a head coach or a general manager. But how about this one? I think the most well-rounded team that is still put together, that has the most talent, just needs one key position. That's the Falcons. It's the Atlanta Falcons. They have Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts all on the offensive side. A defense that was better than most this year. Jesse Bates had a solid season. And you're in a division that it's up in the air just about every single year of who can win it. Might as well be the Falcons. All you need to do, get a quarterback. Get a quarterback. And there's plenty of opportunity there. There's Fields is on the table. Later on down the line, in a couple months when Russell Wilson is cut, I think that's a viable option too. Or just how deep, or you said, fuck it, go deep into this draft and take a Michael Penix Jr. around your 10th slot, or wait and maybe maybe Bo Nix can be like a Will Levis type deal or something like that. I think the Falcons it should be team number one to go to. Vrabel should be coach number one to be sought after. That's in my mind. But again, might just sit on that so we can have more content as the weeks go on.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I had mine. Well, what's your number one team? What should be the number one team for someone to go, for a head coach to look at? Is it the Chargers for Justin Herbert? For the Falcons for the reasons I said? Is it for the Titans? I don't fucking know.
I like the Falcons is a good argument. I think between them and the Chargers, I mean, Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. I mean, the Chargers have a great team, and maybe help Quinn Johnston out a bit. Maybe help him learn to catch. I mean, they have a good team, and their defense has never been all that. I mean, maybe they've just been missing a good head coach.
Tough defense. And I personally think, again, tough division. You got to play Patrick Mahomes twice. The Raiders are nothing to sneeze at because you have Max Crosby on the other side. And I don't know, the Broncos, you got to go into Mile High. That'll fuck you over probably with the altitude. So it's a tough one. So it's going to be a fun thing for players to consider. And that kind of went on a tangent. But was there any other final thoughts on the national title game?
No, not really, to be honest. I'm not really biggest a fan of either teams. I was rooting for Washington because I liked how just they were the underdogs of this bracket, and being able to win against Texas even was cool for them. But yeah, just couldn't get the job done here, and Michigan wins one. I think it's their first one in a while, so.
Yeah, no, first one for Michigan since 1997. So wow. wasn't born just yet. It had to wait a little bit.
That is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. So there's that. Very interesting to see. Again, we'll pick apart and we'll kind of rank and see what coaches go where as the coaching carousel goes on. I saw a tweet and I thought it was so crazy, and to think no way would it be possible, but just imagine, the tweet set it up like this. He's like, just imagine if sports was like WWE in the sense that, or just in wrestling in the sense that, like,
I did see that.
Yeah, okay, so you know what I'm saying. That oh my God, in the off season, you don't know who the fuck is going to be on what team. Then opening day, you show up and for the Bears, and you're like, holy fuck, we got Russell Wilson. Like, what's going on? What do we do in the off season? How does that happen? We got Russell Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, what the fuck happened? Just something crazy like that. I think the tweet was connected to LeBron James is like, oh, how it all like the whole off season happens, and then your opening day for the starting lineup, and the glass crashes like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and out comes LeBron James for your team. Like, oh my god,
That
that
would
would
be,
be
I saw that. That would be
the
hilarious.
amount of
That,
hype would be off the chain, but couldn't happen because everyone has a computer in their pocket. So
yeah, it'd be impossible.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Yeah, that was the NFL. That was the national title game. That's almost the episode right here. But just quickly going out talking on the Connor Bedard injury, fracture in his jaw. I haven't seen any sort of update on a timetable. I believe maybe as early as next week. I've also heard as late as a couple of weeks on this kiddo. But honestly, just a big blow, just in terms of watching the Hawks at all. I mean, the Hawks have been brutal, losing games like, 7-2, 6-1, 5-0, basically. Just about all season long when I see my push notification for final scores come across, but that's really going to do it in terms of my attention for this team for the time being. So Connor Bedard going out on this injury for a little bit of time. He's leading not only the Blackhawks but all rookies in points scored at 33. So that's pretty fun. That's pretty awesome. On the play, it happened this past Friday against the New Jersey Devils. But shout out to Kersharoff, the kind of I guess maybe the Blackhawks enforcer, going right up to Brendan Smith, who gave Connor Bedard the hit. Wasn't a shady hit, wasn't a little bit of a blindside hit. Just a really just a big boy hit. He got it right, got popped right in the jaw. Like I said, maybe not in my mind, and wasn't like out of bounds type play. It wasn't dirty, but good for Kershaw to get in and be like, hey, you don't fucking touch my star. You don't touch our winning our bread ticket or meal ticket right here. That's our guy. So shout out right there. Got the job done. Got him on the ground. Said fuck you. Got up in his face. Probably popped him a few times. So that was
Good.
good. But just hoping and praying that Connor Bedard is getting better as soon as possible. And again, these hockey kiddos, these hockey guys, they're built different. They'll lose teeth in the middle of a game. They'll ask for them to get removed, and they'll be in the next period. So they're built different. They're very much built different. So just quickly, thoughts, questions, concerns on Connor Bedard being out for some time.
Yeah, really just unfortunate for, I was saying, the All-Star game. It sucks that he's one of the youngest players to
Yeah.
ever make it, and he probably won't be able to play in it. So that's unfortunate, but
Yeah, unfortunate for him. Unfortunate for fans for sure. Who just, I mean, this kid fucking completed the Michigan the other day. And for those that don't know what that entirely means, that means when you scoop the puck on top of your stick and carry it and flip it into the back of the net. Yeah. So he did that. So go ahead, take a look at that. Everyone creamed their pants, and rightfully so, because no one does that.
no.
It's a crazy play. This kid's been making phenomenal plays. While it doesn't, again, it doesn't relate, or it turn into wins every single time. That's just because Blackhawks just aren't as competitive right now. They need more than just this one guy on the team. So Connor Bedard proven every single game while he has been playing, at least in my mind, that he is in fact the guy for the time being. He's the next coming of Wayne Gretzky, hockey Jesus, whatever you want to call him.
Love it. We got another great one on the Blackhawks. It's been we lose Patrick Kane and Taze, and now we get Connor Bedard. So
Yes. Yes. Absolutely love it. So get well soon, Bedard. Hopefully
yeah.
enjoy that time. While you're getting well, maybe kick back and join episode 2 of No Substitute for Sports. So maybe kick it back and watch the episodes right here. You can do that as you're liking, following, subscribing over here on the YouTube, over here on the Spotify, all that fun jazz. With that being said, episode 51, bang in the books. Check, please. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Unless you have any final thoughts, I think we're all basically all wrapped up right here, like you said.
Yeah, I think I'm all good to go, man.
Cool. With that being said, like we usually do, thank you to everyone liking, subscribing, following, just stumbling upon us. Do exactly that, please. It helps us out a ton. Appreciate it as always. Thank you for Troy for taking your notes, and Alan for doing the same. He's trying to do the same, exactly that. Like and subscribe. Go follow Fadi on Fat Credit _ streams. He's always playing some games as well. over there on the Twitch side of things. I'm on Twitch, but talking sports, twitch.tv/sportstownshy, just about every day, literally every day. I'm probably on that, just posting something or just being on a talk show. So go follow that page as well. So enjoy that. Enjoy your time. Do any gambling, any playoff football watching, anything else in between. Make sure you're doing it safe and soundly. Again, be safe while all this craziness is going on the streets, weather-wise. So take care. We see you as we love you. Bye-bye.